What's up, everybody? Welcome to Move the Sticks on a Monday. DJ, Bucky, Rhett back together here. And guys, incredible. What are we calling this? The Super Wildcard weekend? I believe we got a super in there. Either Wildcard Super Weekend or Super Wildcard. It was a super. It was super. It was a super performance for the league. Some incredible games, some compelling games. So much to get to here. We had the Move the Sticks Bowl, which was the third or fourth. Yeah, there you go. Third or fourth iteration, I think. Is that right? Third or fourth iteration. Bucky Brooks, again, gets his hand raised once again in an incredible game with the Jags and the Chargers. We're going to get to that a little bit later on. But I say we start, and that was impressive. I say we start where it finished, and let's start here with the first one we saw, or the last one we saw, I should say. Ravens-Bengals taking that game in last night. It was a game that, man, you could say one play decided the game. I don't know you'd be far-fetched on that one, Rhett. What did you think?
Yeah, well, I felt like, if Mutombo was watching, he'd have really appreciated what Logan Wilson was able to do on that play, on that goal line stand. And you can call the Tyler Huntley, yeah, that's it, give me the finger wag. That's right, Buck. Visuals help, I think, in this situation. And when Tyler Huntley goes back and watches the visual of that, he'll realize that, that's probably not the best place to pull the let me just stick this thing over the plane and try to over the goal line, try to break the plane. And look, great work by Logan Wilson getting that ball out of there. And then Sam Hubbard, got up to like 18 miles an hour on that bad boy, running that thing back. Some nice work from his friends downfield as Mark Andrews nearly got to him there. I mean, that was the game. That was essentially a 14-point swing. Could have been 7 for the Ravens to take the lead. Ends up 7 going back the other way. And that's essentially, the deciding factor in this thing. Obviously, there were plays earlier in the game and, in each of the previous quarters that would have, could have tilted the game a little bit either way too. But this play, I think, gets into another point that I'll make later on about the Ravens as they now pack things up and head back home to get ready for next season.
I wanted to touch on Burrow in this offense a little bit because the box score doesn't look, it doesn't look super impressive. You score 24 points. Obviously, 7 of that comes on the defensive touchdown. Burrow throws for 209 yards. They don't have a completion over 20 yards. The run game, you get 51 yards, 2.8 a carry. It's like, okay, this is a borderline kind of a putrid performance. But then you look a little deeper and you think about the playoffs, and you look at Joe Burrow taking what's there, not trying to be too big, which we talked about in the run-up to the playoffs is incredibly important. They're 2 for 2 in the red zone. He doesn't turn the football over against a really good defense that knows you really well. I thought it was a clean game, and it was just enough there from Joe Burrow, and it did show you kind of the whole team effort that they had there, and that's why I think they're a dangerous team. Now, injuries on the offensive line have me legit concerned. I mean, it's just been one after another. So that is something to keep an eye on as they go to take on the Buffalo Bills next week. But again, an impressive performance by the Bengals is a complete team win. How about the other side of it here, Buck? Let's go to the Baltimore Ravens. What was your takeaway there?
I'll say this. I'm very disappointed that Lamar Jackson didn't show up for the game. And I know that we live in a world in pro ball where every injured athlete doesn't go, but I think it speaks volumes when your franchise quarterback is not on the sideline. And look, it could have been a legitimate thing with the knee. You don't want him to fly because of swelling and all that. But I just know how valuable it is to the team to see the franchise quarterback in the building on the sideline assisting the backup quarterback. Everybody on the Baltimore Ravens screams his virtues and how he's the best leader and all this other stuff. But in this moment, they needed him. Even though he wasn't going to play, maybe he could have talked to Tyler Huntley about how to go over the top. Maybe he could have been the calming influence on the sideline during some of these tense moments. I just believe the Baltimore Ravens are at a crossroads because there appears to be an alienation between this team and the quarterback, and they got to fix all this acrimony if he's going to return, because this team cannot win with an unhappy or disgruntled quarterback, a franchise quarterback of that, Lamar Jackson.
All right, let's get to another game here. Giants-Vikings. Buck, this was a game, I think none of the three of us were surprised by this. I think all three of us thought the Giants were going to go in there and get a win, and that's exactly what happened. What was your takeaway on the Giants side of things?
My takeaway is, it's funny. We always talk about team building, and a lot of times we spend our time talking about player acquisition, the draft, free agency, and those things. But there's something to be said for player development. And what Brian Daboll and his staff have done, they've taken a bunch of pieces that were brought in under Dave Gettleman, and they've got those pieces to flourish. So when you really look at the game and you look at the best players that showed up in this playoff game, Saquon Barkley, Daniel Jones, Dexter Lawrence, Xavier McKinney, all played key roles, all drafted by the previous regime. And so I think what we have to always understand is that they work hand in hand. Coaching matters in this league, and what Brian Daboll and his staff have been able to do is unlock all the talent and the potential that maybe the previous staff saw when they made those picks. But ultimately, it has to go hand in hand, and the Giants have advanced to the division round because they've upgraded the coaching, and the coaching has certainly gotten more out of the talent than previous years.
Yeah, and I mean, Daniel Jones needs to get some credit. I feel like because Brian Daboll did such a nice job with Josh Allen, and he's done a great job here with Daniel Jones, but I feel like all this credit has gone to the defense and how well that front's played, rightfully so. They've done a great job. All the credit's gone to Brian Daboll. Beautiful scheme, beautiful play design. Let's give the quarterback some credit here, man. He is playing at a very, very high level. He's protecting the football. That's winning football. He's using his legs, which makes them more difficult to defend. For a team that doesn't have an array of weapons on the outside, I think those guys are a little underrated, and they've played, better than what the expectation was. But his legs add another weapon to complement Saquon Barkley in this offense. To me, look, they have a decision to make in the offseason. They're going to have to commit long-term to either Saquon Barkley or Daniel Jones, and maybe it's both of them, and they could franchise the other one. That's going to be the decision. I know one thing. There's enough teams out there that need quarterbacks. I would not roll the dice on franchising Saquon Barkley and then saying, okay, we'll let Daniel Jones test the market, and hopefully we can do what we term a fair market deal. You're going to have to go over the top to pay either Saquon or him and franchise the other one. Because of the positions they play, I would be franchising the running back, and I would be trying to work out a deal with Daniel Jones. And Rhett, people might scoff at this when I say it, but I think his contract, knowing with where Rodgers is now, knowing that the Herbert deal is going to be coming before long, the Joe Burrow deal is going to be coming before long, you're going to have 50 is going to be the number where all those rare guys are.
Yes.
This number is going to have to start with a 4. He's going to make $40 million a year, and people are going to say, Daniel Jones, $40 million a year, you're crazy. Look where it's going. Look where that market's going. And if I'm on his camp, that's where I'm starting, saying, hey, we want $40 million a year. And I know, go ahead, cue it up. I'm sure people are going to freak out. Oh, you're crazy.
Well, exactly.
That's what he's going to get. We heard the same thing about Kirk Cousins back in the day. You remember Kirk Cousins is going to get over $20 million a year. And people are like, well, $20 million for Kirk Cousins. That's the market.
The numbers
It is
change.
what it is. That's what the market is. Yeah.
And you know what? All of that outrage will fit the narrative surrounding Daniel Jones's entire career in New York. And you know what kind of kept coming back to me at the risk of drawing your ire once again, DJ? I'm gonna try to make another movie analogy for you. This one does not involve Home Alone though. This one, I kept thinking about Batman. I kept thinking about The Dark Knight, right? In that quote, like, because he's the hero Gotham deserves and not the one it needs right now. Well, like, for the first 3 years of his career, it felt like he was the hero that New York deserved, but he wasn't the one they wanted at that time. But now, he's not only the hero New York deserves, but he's the one that they absolutely needed, and he showed up on Sunday. And, for 3 years, they hunted him. They tried to tear him down, but you know what? He could take it. And he was the silent guardian and the watchful protector, as the quote goes on. So, I feel like that's a dude that kind of, shuts out all that outside noise, all that criticism. He's not that outwardly vocal, it's all about me type of guy, but goes out there and has the most prolific performance by a quarterback, perhaps in Giants playoff history. One of only 3 quarterbacks to have a 300-yard passing game in the playoffs in Giants history. 78 rushing yards, best rushing performance by a Giants quarterback in playoff history. Like, it's just... he did everything they required of him, and he did it to the absolute highest level. So I think, and just to get back to the Batman reference here, he should be wielding a huge bag of cash as he jumps from rooftop to rooftop, restoring order for the Giants in the NFC East. Like, that dude has played his way into that contract, and I'm 100% with you. Put the 4 in front of it.
I got to step in because I feel like Rhett spent all night in his bag with analogies. I think Rhett had too much time to prepare for the show. He had all kinds of stuff. I mean, like, he went a completely different way, DJ. I feel like now I'm going to have to start bringing more books in and more quotes and more poems and all kinds of other stuff to drop into the thing.
I'm done.
Because Rhett just went on a soliloquy that has blown my mind with the amount of analogies and things that he brought in about Daniel Jones.
Oh,
the only thing I take from this is the fact that, maybe 2 weeks ago, Kana, his wife, took off the restrictions, so he's allowed to watch PG-13 movies now because it was strictly PG movie references, and now we've moved up to the PG-13.
It was Christmas movies.
Yeah, she's giving you a little freedom. She's giving you a little bit of freedom over there. That's nice on her part. Let's get to the other side here with the Minnesota Vikings. Last play of the game. If you don't follow Kurt Warner, I highly recommend that you do. Our colleague here and Hall of Famer, the quarterback, he did a great job on Twitter breaking down the final play and really kind of defended Cousins to a degree because you throw underneath the sticks with your season on the line. It is baffling. It makes no sense. When you look at the All-22, Kurt does a good job of breaking it down and kind of showing you. You've got Hawkinson who's trying to chip on the way out. That's why he's underneath the sticks. You're getting double covered down the field with Justin Jefferson on a high corner. And by the time that in cut on the top that everybody's pointing to kind of pops, he's already got Dexter Lawrence in his face. Now, my thing is, I would, even though Justin Jefferson's doubled, I'd still rather throw one up to him beyond the sticks and hope that he can make some type of miraculous play, which we've already seen him do. Go see the Buffalo game. I'd rather take my shot on that. At least you've got a chance versus hoping you're going to break a tackle by your tight end and somehow fight your way past the marker. So I understand it didn't give Kirk a lot of options, but it's either on the play design, it's on the players. Either way, it's another example of kind of this situational football that wins and loses playoff games. You don't have the right call, you don't have the right decision, and the game's over. It was really that simple. It was a back and forth game, or it was a game that they had a chance to go down there and extend and keep alive. But it's those individual moments, Buck. That's the playoffs. We talked about the Bengals and the Ravens, one play. Knowing where you are as a quarterback, not being secure with the football, one play, game over. This is the end of the game. Try and extend the game. You have a play design. You end up throwing underneath the sticks. You don't give yourself a chance, man. Like, that's why so much of practice is dedicated to these situations, and they mangled that one.
Yeah, they mangled it. And so it goes again to, we talk about experience in these moments, playoff experience, particularly when it comes to coaching, because in that moment, what you're looking for when you're a player, I need my coach to help me out. I need my coach to find a way to get my best player open. That is what the tactical part of the game is. And so when we think about Justin Jefferson in the last 3 games, DJ, he just totaled a little under or barely a shade over 100 receiving yards in the last 3 games. When we think about the playoffs, as much as I love role players and X factors and those things, in the playoffs, it's about the stars. And the coach's job is to find a way to unlock the stars so they can make a big impact on the game. For Justin Jefferson to have 1 catch for 3 or 4 yards in the second half, it's inexcusable. You have to have other stuff in the bag for your number 1 option, probably your best offensive player, to get loose. And the fact that they did, it's an indictment on Kevin O'Connell and the coaching staff. And I will say this because I love what Kevin O'Connell has done with his offense. But in these moments, you got to find a way for your best player to have a huge impact on the game when the game is hanging in the balance.
All right, let's take a quick break. He's so fired up. Let's take a quick break. We're going to come back, talk about a game that was close for a long time, and I did not see that coming. The Dolphins and the Bills. We'll dig into that one right after this break. To this game, the third meeting between the Dolphins and the Bills. The Dolphins go on the road with their 3rd-string quarterback, and oh boy, we had a ball game. They only lose 34-31. Dolphins right in that ball game down to the very end. Unfortunate penalty, which I'm sure we'll touch on here in a minute. But let's start on the winning side of this thing with the Buffalo Bills. They win, they advance. Rhett, what was your takeaway here with what Buffalo was able to get done?
Well, look, I think, there's a lot to kind of dig through here on Josh Allen's performance, and I know we will. He continues to kind of skirt that fine line between, wanting the ball in his hands and feeling like he can do everything possible to win, and then also doing too much and having some of those mistakes creep up. But I think on a positive note for Buffalo, you're one of those teams that's been really good, one of the best teams in the league the last 3-4 years now. You're picking way down low in the draft. You got to hit on those picks. I think we all can, here on this podcast and what we do, like, you understand the importance of, when you've got, a lot of money committed to some really good players, you got to find ways to maximize those draft picks, and they really have this year. You look at Kaiir Elam. I think has had his ups and downs this year as a rookie corner, as most do. But man, no Dolphins receiver more than 70 yards in this game. He had the pick, got his hand on a couple more balls, and so I feel like he played really well in coverage. Khalil Shakir, some big third down catches, had an explosive. He's going to be a guy that they're going to count on. You're already paying Stephon Diggs a ton of money. How much is Gabe Davis going to require down the road? So Khalil Shakir is a guy they're probably going to have to rely on in an even bigger role the next couple of years. And then James Cook, this year, again, just showing how dynamic he can be. That touchdown run, so easy to see that high gear shift change that he has, and just provides another element to this offense where they can attack you. I just wish maybe you'd use him just a little bit more in some of those situations and prevent some of these turnovers that we've seen the Bills offense have these last really kind of 8 weeks, second half of the season, and it continued into the regular season. So I thought they had a really nice performance from their rookie class, kind of giving them what they needed at the right times.
Yeah, nice work there by the young guys. I want to touch on the turnovers, though. You mentioned it. Josh Allen fumbled the ball 3 times, only lost 1 of them.
Yeah.
You have the 2 interceptions. He got sacked 7 times in this game. If those numbers are anywhere close in this next game against the Cincinnati Bengals, their season's over. They have got to clean a lot of this stuff up. You still go score 34 points. You still see Josh Allen with those incredible plays he can make down the field, and take nothing away from him. It's just got to be cleaner. We talked about Cincinnati, and while they didn't produce like you'd want to produce overall, we thought they played a pretty clean football game. I think that's going to, I'm kind of pushing this thing forward here versus backward, but this is going to be a heavyweight matchup between the Bills and the Bengals, and they have to play a much cleaner brand of football offensively, and Josh specifically, if they're going to keep moving on, Buck.
DJ, it's funny because in watching the game, I think the Miami Dolphins put out a blueprint that the Cincinnati Bengals can follow. If you watch the game closely, when you study, you'll see that the Dolphins played a lot of cover zero. They did a lot of simulated pressures where it looked like zero, they fell out, and it really gave Josh Allen and the pass protection problems, where if you know anything about the Cincinnati Bengals, Lou Anarumo, he does that a ton. They are great at it, and they have probably a better lineup to be able to execute it. So it is one of the areas where the Buffalo Bills have to clean up. Josh Allen has to play better. But let's flip it on the other side. Defensively, you've talked about it. We've talked about it. Since Von Miller departed due to an injury, we wondered who are going to be the closers for the Buffalo Bills. Yesterday was great. Matt Milano stepped up, had 2 sacks from his linebacker position. But for this team to win against the heavyweights that are remaining in the AFC tournament, they are going to have to be able to close games out with the pass rush. So Ed Oliver, Greg Rousseau, Boogie Basham, someone is going to have to step up and be able to win one-on-one on the outside so they can get home to the quarterback and really change the way that the rhythm and the timing is going in the passing game. They weren't able to do it consistently enough against the Miami Dolphins. They have to up the ante against their future opponents.
Yeah, and flip it over, with the Dolphins offense. Skylar Thompson, hey, if you'd have told me going through the draft process that he would be starting games as a rookie, I'd have said you're crazy. If you'd have told me he'd be starting a playoff game on the road and put up 30 points and have a chance to win, that's an incredible job by him. So I want to make sure we give him all the respect and all the kudos and all the congratulations for what he was able to accomplish. It was great in the East-West game, and man, he parlayed that into having a really nice run here as a rookie. But this team has a dilemma, going into the offseason of what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Tua, I know they said they're committed to Tua and they want to get him healthy and get him back out there, but you can't bank on that. And while I like Skylar Thompson, what he's able to do, I think you need to bring in another veteran. I don't think Teddy Bridgewater is that guy. I don't know that Teddy Bridgewater wants to be that guy. I think Teddy's content to kind of be a backup and maintain that status as a backup. They need to find somebody that can go in there, and I don't know who that is, who that veteran would be, an Andy Dalton type, but they need somebody that can get them through games and maybe even has to get them through a whole season, because I just don't know you can be confident on Tua going forward that you're going to be able to have him out there. It is what it is. It's a tough deal. The last thing I'll say on the Dolphins, go ahead, Rhett.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, if you're going to have a QB2 like Teddy Bridgewater, he's got to be available. And I think there are multiple times this year when, and through perhaps no fault of his own, but he's been so banged up, almost as banged up as Tua has been. And so that's why Skylar Thompson is even in this position. And I think he showed enough to at least be considered as the quarterback 2 there in Miami. But you got to figure out a way to have somebody that's reliable, if and when you decide to continue to hitch that wagon to Tua as your starter.
Yeah, that's the decision for them to make. Last thing on the game itself, man, get the play call in. I can't tell you, I'm screaming at the television at Mike McDaniel, get the play call in, get this young quarterback up to the line of scrimmage. And it wasn't just the 5-yard penalty at the very end of the game that ended up costing them going from a 4th and 1 to a 4th and 6. It was happening throughout the whole game where it was just such a rush. You've got a young quarterback, just like snap the ball. Like, it made me nervous. It made Coffee nervous watching that game. Get the dang play call in. That was frustrating to watch. I don't know if they were having comms issues or what the deal was, but man, that was frustrating to watch from the couch. Anyways, all right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about an NFC West clash between the Seattle Seahawks and the San Francisco 49ers, and the Brock Purdy Express continues to roll on. We'll get to that right after this. All right, welcome back to Move the Sticks here. Let's jump into the NFC West. This was a game that the 49ers let the Seahawks hang around for a minute, and then they just put their foot on the gas and pulled away 41-23. The Niners win at home against the Seahawks. Rhett, I think we got to start with the quarterback there. What was your takeaway?
Yeah, I mean, the takeaway is that the dude just continues to impress. I mean, the fact that Brock Purdy's name is up there with Joe Montana and Steve Young in terms of performances in a first career playoff game, I mean, says something for a kid that was drafted 262 overall. And look, I think the thing that I'm most impressed with, because we've seen him, he is a fit for the system. He executes at a high level with what Kyle Shanahan asks him to do. But this was his first opportunity on a stage like this in a playoff game. And the first half, let's be honest, it wasn't great. 9-19, missed some throws. They were out of sync a little bit. And even though, this was a tight game for much of the first half and was at the break anyway, he comes back out after has a chat with Kyle Shanahan at the break, and Kyle's like, look, the plays are out there to be made. You just got to go make them, and we believe you can go make them. And Brock talked about that after the game. He's like, all right. Well, then he goes 9 for 11, and they find the end zone. It turns into a blowout. I mean, the mental toughness of a kid like that who could have easily gone into the tank when things weren't quite going. I mean, you should have seen I'm sure you probably did. Like, the commentary on Twitter was like, clock struck midnight on Brock Purdy. Cinderella turns into a pumpkin or whatever the fairy tale is at that point. I mean, it felt like, oh my gosh, this guy's, he's never going to play again. And then, it picks up the pieces and finds his way back into the rhythm and into the game flow and absolutely shreds the Seahawks, throws for over 300, 3 touchdowns, no picks, doesn't turn the ball over, and then runs in a touchdown as well. I mean, everything that the 49ers ask of Brock Purdy, he delivered, especially in that second half, guys.
I'm just looking up, turns into a pumpkin. Who was it again that turned into a pumpkin? Because I know it wasn't Cinderella.
Okay. It was, wasn't it that?
No, that's...
all right. Look, one analogy is enough, okay? You can't ask me.
No, this is the problem. Okay. This is your problem. Is that you get a little traction. We give you a little love. We give you a little leeway. Let's let Rhett drift a little bit, and let's get a solid movie analogy, and then you just can't be content. Just be content. You got to win. You got to win earlier. We got the Black Knight, and then you just keep going.
Dark Knight.
We just got to be content in life. Come on.
All right, fine.
We'll work on that. All right, Brock Purdy. This was a stat that our buddy Jack Andrade with NFL Research put out there, and this was wide open. So guys with 5+ yards of separation. Brock Purdy, 9 of 10, 179 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, with a perfect passer rating. All other attempts, 9 for 20, 153 yards with a 71.5 passer rating. And everybody, a lot of people ran with this. It's a good nugget. It's a great stat from Jack. The reason why I'll give Purdy some credit here. One of the reasons why these guys are so wide open is because he's getting to number 3 and number 4 in the progression. Now, you can't do that if you don't have the offensive line, but he is processing very fast. And when we look for elite traits, and I necessarily see an elite trait physically with Brock Purdy, does not have elite size, does not have elite arm strength, not an elite athlete. What he does have is he's an elite processor. And his ability to kind of be, as Bucky, you always say, kind of the joystick for the head coach. he's able to just operate that system and get bing, 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 3, 4 in the progression, balls out, and those guys are open. And one of the reasons they are open is because I was talking with Orlovsky on the phone about this yesterday. Just the versatility and the creativity. So you have the versatility of all these guys. Juszczyk can play tight end, fullback. You got McCaffrey can play running back and receiver. Debo can line up in the backfield, the slot or out wide. All that versatility. George Kittle can do all these different things. It is really allowing them to be tough to defend, because you don't know how to identify their personnel groupings that they're putting out there, because they can put all those guys in different places. Long-winded way to say it's a unique group that they have there. With a play caller and a quarterback that fits. And so while we can say, I don't think you take Brock Purdy and just drop him into any offense and you're seeing anything close to what we're seeing right now, this is a perfect marriage for how he likes to play, kind of being that joystick, as you like to say, Buck.
Yeah, DJ, some of the things that we have to do on TV are different than when you're working for a team. When you work for a team, it is always fit and scheme. How does this prospect fit within our scheme? And what you're seeing is Brock Purdy is a perfect fit for how the Niners want to play. And then it's the other pieces around him that also fit. So when you talk about the versatility of their offense, that was very intentional by Kyle Shanahan. All of these guys are hybrids in their own way. We talk about Debo Samuel being a running back / wide receiver that can get it done. We talk about George Kittle being a hybrid, because I think he's an offensive tackle and a wide receiver because he blocks so well and catches passes. Juszczyk, and we can go down the line when it comes to Christian McCaffrey and some of these other guys. And so I think a big part of it is the vision of Kyle Shanahan working with the front office to make sure that they get the right pieces so he can kind of go in the kitchen and cook up the masterpiece that is this offense. It's really impressive to watch.
All right, we're going to take one more break here. We're going to come back. We're going to finally get to the Move the Sticks Bowl here in the wildest game of the weekend, hands down. Bucky's Jags, my Chargers, a crazy finish. We'll get to that right after this. NFL Plus is here, which means no matter where you are, this is how you football. You can stream live, local, and primetime games on your phone or tablet, 45-minute game replays with NFL Plus Premium, and more. This is the NFL for every fan. This is football freedom. This is your game on the go. Go to plus.nfl.com and sign up now. All right, Buck, this was the game. It was great to see you out there in Jacksonville, man. First of all, butt cold in Florida. I did not know that we were going to we'd be playing in 30-degree weather. I did not look at the weather report before I left. Terrible move on my part. But you survived down there on the sidelines in a wild game. You know, you hear the phrase, a tale of two halves. I don't know if it's ever been more appropriate than for this game right here. What do you think?
One, I also didn't check the weather. DJ, to my surprise, it was much colder than I had packed for. And the game, a long game, got a little cold on the toes. So, but that's neither here nor there. You're right. It was a tale of two halves, and it really was a tale of two halves for the franchise quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. One of the things that we have always talked about is the quarterback is not just the talent, it's the stuff on the inside. And I can tell you, Trevor Lawrence was definitely tested when it came to his courage and confidence. 4 interceptions in the first half, admittedly saying that he couldn't figure out what was going on, but then to respond after a 4-for-16 start with 4 interceptions, to deliver 4 touchdowns, to bring the team back from a 27-point deficit speaks volumes about him. And it also speaks volumes about the belief that Doug Peterson has in his franchise quarterback. I don't know how many coaches would not have at least pondered the thought man, do I need to sit him down just for a minute to let it slow down? But he stuck with him. Trevor Lawrence rewarded him for his patience by delivering an outstanding performance in the second half that helped this team walk down the Chargers in a crazy game, probably one of the wildest games that I've ever been a part of.
Yeah, I posted after the game, and really not just after this game, but watching all the games this weekend, that I thought the most underrated word and kind of characteristic of championship football is where we are here in the playoffs is poise. And that's not just poise on the field by your players, it's poise on the sideline with your coach. And this was, as you've seen all year long with this team, Buck, that was a microcosm of their season. I mean, this thing was headed down. They were having a rough go, and Doug Peterson was calm and steady and just instills confidence in this group. They turned their whole season around. he kind of spoke it into existence, talked about the crystal ball, and I see us playing in the last week of the season with everything on the line, and sure enough, that's exactly what happened. They get into the postseason, and in this one, a game the Chargers are in complete control. I didn't think he panicked, and he didn't come out trying to, as we say, eat the sandwich all in one bite. They took what was there. It was pretty incredible to have that type of a comeback without really, getting turnovers and short fields and quick scores, and really only kind of one explosive play over the top. It was just, they were a team that is a rhythm passing team. The Chargers took that away in the first part of the game. They took away the space, and then the Chargers got a little conservative with their coverage and allowed this offense to get into a rhythm and see the ball go through the hoop, as we like to say. And once that happened, you had a play caller in Peterson and a quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. They got in a rhythm, and the Chargers couldn't stop them the whole second half. They could not stop them.
Yeah, and look, I'll go back to what we saw. Remember, I was talking about the draft class for the Bills, right, and how they kind of showed up and had a real nice impact for them in that win over the Dolphins. Look at the free agency class and what they were able to do for the Jacksonville Jaguars this year. Evan Ingram, Christian Kirk, Zay Jones all come to Duval in their first years this year. They combined 38 targets in this game, and as I move my video over, there you go, 38 targets, 23 catches in this game, 345 yards, and each one of them had a touchdown. And then you go on the defensive side of the ball. Foye Oluokun continues to have a huge impact, always around the football, 13 tackles. Arden Key, Foley Fatukasi, they've got contributors on defense, and they found a stud in Oluokun. Rayshawn Jenkins back in the 21 class has proved that he can be a big play guy here. Roy Robertson Harris from the 21 class too, a nice depth piece. They've hit it out of the park on some of these free agent deals, and even though there's still that narrative, do they pay too much for Christian Kirk? Look, if you're going to be deep into free agency, you are going to pay. You are going to overpay. That's just the nature of free agency. But if those guys can produce, then it's worth it at that point for a team like that with the Jaguars, and they have definitely made it worth it with a couple of those guys. And Evan Ingram is going to command some big money here after the performance that he had in this game and in this season for Jacksonville.
No doubt. And I want to return to a theme we've talked about earlier, which is kind of that focus, that championship focus, and how one play can really kind of turn a game or decide a game. We talked about it in Baltimore, right? Huntley tries to jump over the top, exposes the football. It's a 14-point play. That's the ball game. Talk about Minnesota at the end. Kirk Cousins throws underneath the sticks. Whether it's the play call, you don't like the design of it, what have you, you don't give yourself a chance to extend that football game. Miami, not getting the play call in, suffering a delay game with your season on the line. You go from a 4th and 1 to a 4th and 6. These individual plays, and this is championship focus, both on the field and on the sideline, that's not there. There was a play, and this is a late in the second quarter, a couple minutes to go. Chargers are facing a 3rd and less than a yard. Now, keep in mind, as my partner Matt Money Smith said at the time, Justin Herbert is 9 for 9 on quarterback sneaks on 3rd or 4th and 1 or less. He is, over his career, 23 of 24 converting quarterback sneaks. This is the playoffs. This is win or go home. Even though you have a comfortable 27-0 game, you quarterback sneak right there. Even if you don't go on to score points, I believe they're at their own 30. Even if you don't score points, you can eat up the rest of the clock. The half's gonna end. You trot into halftime, 27-0. You are absolutely choking the life out of this Jaguars team. They have no hope at that point in time. Instead, Justin checks. Now, he said it was an inside run call, and Herbert checked to this speed sweep. Now, keep in mind, Mike Williams is not playing, so he's not in that spot. His backup, DeAndre Carter, got hurt in this game. So it's practice squatter Michael Bandy, who's been elevated, been up and down all year long. He doesn't even know what's going on. He doesn't even try and take the ball. So he gets the motion. He's surprised. He turns away from the football. It ends up being a fumble. They end up losing 10 yards. So not only do you not get the first down, you lose 10 yards of field position. The Jags end up going down, and they get that first touchdown at the end of the first half. And, Buck, that makes it 27-7. It doesn't sound like a huge deal. It is a major difference. You go into that locker room saying, hey, guys, 3 scores. We just need to get some stops. We're 3 scores down. We're going to get plenty of possessions to be able to come back in this ball game. So that was the biggest takeaway for me, that kind of one moment. And the other thing I'll add is you can say, and I get kind of the way the game's played right now, it's a passing league. And you can say, okay, if anything, we want to stop the pass. We want to limit the explosive pass plays, and that's how you play defense, great red zone defense. But this Charger team was historically bad against the run in terms of yards per carry. And it's been that way for a couple years now, even though they've changed out some of the personnel. And this is 2 years in a row. But I guess, Rhett, you're up next here. But 2 years in a row. Last year, they have a fourth down with the Raiders, and the Raiders need a big chunk of yardage here. Third down late in this ball game. Josh Jacobs, boom, runs right through Asante Samuel, ends up getting a bunch more yards. They get the first down, and they end up kicking the game-winning field goal, which eliminates the Chargers from the playoffs. Now you go again, 4th and 1. They a great play call by Doug Peterson. They get to the perimeter. It's a push to crack buck. Asante Samuel ends up getting pulled inside, loses contain. There's nobody there for Travis Etienne. Off to the races. So their issues against the run on the ultimate play that decided their season 2 years in a row, they couldn't get it done. This has been a fun one. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. Again, we'll be back later this week. We're going to start jumping into some draft talk. It's that time of year. Man, the Chargers are done. I got nothing to do now but study draft, guys. So we'll jump into that. Bucky's still got to keep working, man. Keep those Jags going. See if they can extend their season. That's going to do it. We'll see you next time right here on Move the Sticks.